Hello, my Nyctophiliacs. I'm Filia Noctis, and tonight I have a special treat for you, an all Timothy Duran video. 2 of Mr. Duran's creations just for you. The first is a poem titled Because I Love You, and the second is a story titled Hungry Smiles. I am thrilled to be the first to narrate Mr. Duran's poem, so let us begin with Because I Love You. Because I Love You by Timothy Duran. Because I love you, I will follow you wherever the world takes you. Because I love you, I will be with you forever, always. Because I love you, no one will ever have as much significance as I do in your life. Because I love you, there will be no days without my sunlight. Because I love you, I'll be with you day and night. Because I love you, I will protect you from anyone who comes your way. Because I love you, I will text you, sometimes more than 20 times a day. Because I love you, you won't support anyone without me. Because I love you, I am your best friend. Because I love you, I am your only friend. Because I love you, I will always check your posts. Because I love you, I'll make sure I'm the one you talk to the most. This Rachel person, delete. This Emily person, delete. This Cassie person, delete. Because I love you, you should hang out with me instead of your friends. Because I love you, the only nights out you have are with me. Because I love you, I'm the only person you'll ever see. Because I love you, you better be home on time from work and not a second late. Because I love you, I'll keep track of what you ate. Because I love you, you won't make any excuses to leave me alone. Because I love you, this Robert person, delete. This Alex person, delete. This Adam person, delete. Because I love you, I will kill anyone who has hurt you. Because I love you, I will never leave you alone. Because I love you, I placed a tracker under your skin. Because I love you, you will not commit a lustful sin. Because I love you, I will always win. Because I love you, I throw out all your written dreams and books in a bin. Because I love you, you will not get mad at me. Because I love you, you will thank me for always being there for you and be grateful. Because I love you, we will get married and everyone will enjoy our wedding. Because I love you, I will decide when our honeymoon ends. Because I love you, you will never leave me. Because I love you, I ripped up our divorce papers. Because I love you, we won't be having any kids to take attention away from me. Because I love you, we will be moving to the city of my choosing. Because I love you, I made your boss give you a promotion. Because I love you, I picked our new house. Because I love you, I took care of your job. Because I love you, I will provide for us. Because I love you, you will not leave this house unless you are with me. Because I love you, you will never leave my house. You will always be with me, even in death. Because I love you. Hungry Smiles by Timothy Duran. I can't get his face out of my mind. The glowing white eyes, the wide stare, the huge smile with the big teeth keep terrifying me in my dreams. I told myself that I could handle a weekend alone, and that my mom and dad wouldn't need to be there. I told them that I was old enough to stay at home alone for a weekend, and that I would lock the doors and eat what was in the fridge. I wish I had listened to my parents and had left the lights on. I haven't been this scared in years. I'm going to be turning 13 soon, so I shouldn't be scared of stuff like this now. But I don't know if what I saw is fake or if it's real. My nightmare is coming to life and I don't know what to do. I started having weird dreams a few nights ago. I had a dream on Monday where I was in this big floating forest. I was up in the trees, and the trees themselves were high up in the sky. I'd been there before, but this time it was different. It was dark out because there was a lot of nearby clouds that shrouded the sun. I had fun jumping and climbing in between the trees and enjoying the sounds of birds and monkeys until I saw someone. As I came close to what looked like a house in the trees, there was a man nearby. He hid behind a smaller tree, trying not to show himself. I tried to call out to him. "Hi, my name's Nathan. What's yours?" He slowly peeked his head out from behind the wood and stepped out from behind the tree to show himself. He was a tall and skinny man with fur on his body and stripes along his stomach. His fur was a mix of black and gray. And was a bit thick on his body, except for a patch of red fur up by his neck that looked like a bow tie. What I saw next I found strange. He finally showed his full face, and I won't lie when I say this, his face kind of freaked me out at first glance. He had 2 white eyes, a small nose, and a really big smile. The thing I noticed first was his teeth. He had very large, very white teeth, some of which poked out from his mouth when they were closed. I didn't see his ears, but I could tell he heard me after I started talking. He had a really nice voice when we first talked. Yes, I apologize for hiding. I was unsure of whether or not you and I were supposed to meet. He spoke proper English and seemed friendly enough, even though he looked kind of strange. Hi. Yeah, my name's Nathan. What's yours, mister?" He chuckled before he told me his name. "Smiles. You can call me Mr. Smiles. It's very nice to meet you, Nathan." He took wide steps closer to me. It was almost like he was trying to skate towards me. He was so much taller than me and had to reach his hand down to shake mine. His hand was soft as it grabbed mine. I couldn't help but smile as I looked up at him. Even with his teeth, he looked very friendly until I looked all the way up at his face a second time. I felt my hand being gripped by his as his white eyes became wide. His smile widened with his eyes and revealed a second row of teeth behind the first that began to shake as his mouth opened. "Thank you, Nathan. It's time for breakfast." Right as he was about to bite down on me, I woke up in bed in a hot sweat, wondering what the heck that thing was that had tried to eat me in my dreams. I went to school that next day and felt bored during class, so I decided to doodle the appearance of Mr. Smiles. This form of Mr. Smiles was the form I called gentleman's form, because he looked like he was wearing a weird suit with his fur. I always found myself drawing what I dreamt about the night before in history class because it was so boring. Mr. Smiles was an interesting thing to draw. As scared as I was when he tried to bite me in my dream, he just felt like he was only a part of the dream. I later realized that he wasn't just a part of my dream. I had another dream Tuesday night, only this time I was in a dark forest on the ground. I didn't know where to look, but the sounds of owls kept freaking me out. I walked on for a little bit until I saw someone who was tall in a very long dark coat in the distance. I looked a little harder at the face that was looking at me and I realized it was Mr. Smiles. Part of me was telling me to not get any closer to him, but I decided to go closer because I still thought that this was all just part of my dreams. He started out by coming closer with his big coat and hat on, just covering the edge of his eyes. "Hi there, Nathan. Good to see you. I was hoping I'd run into you again tonight. Do you happen to know where I could get a bite to eat?" And right as he said this, he lunged for me, flinging his jacket open and revealing 2 long arms extended out to reach me. I started to run away, hoping that there was somewhere I could go, but Mr. Smiles managed to trip me up by throwing his hat in front of where I was running so that I tripped over it as it landed. I turned to face him and woke up right as he was about to bite down on me again. This version of Mr. Smiles looked darker and less pleasant. He had the same voice as before, but he looked very different this time. It was almost as if he was trying to hunt me down. He was looking for me in my dreams and wanted to eat me. I drew this new dark form of him in my journal in history class the next day, hoping to try and figure out why he was after me. I couldn't find out exactly why he was after me, and I didn't see him later on that night on Wednesday. When I went back into my dreams, I found myself unable to find either form of Mr. Smiles, the gentleman's form or the dark form. I found myself back in the floating tree forest up in the sky and was happy again in my dreams. The trees were pretty and the sky was bright with the sun and the darkness from the clouds was gone. I slept well that night and woke up feeling great on Thursday. I drew the floating trees dream in my journal in history class on Thursday to help clear my head from what I saw. On Thursday night, I was back in the dark and creepy forest, but there was no sign of Mr. Smiles, or so I thought. The dream didn't last as long that night, and I woke up feeling weird the next day. I tried to draw out the forest to distract myself from Mr. Smiles, but I kept hearing his voice during class. "Come out and play, Nathan. I want a friend to come and play with me. Won't you be my friend, Nathan? I'm so very hungry. I did not see you earlier in the forest. Will you come back to visit me? I could use a snack. Could you use a friend, Nathan? I think we both deserve a bite to eat." I went to the bathroom after history class and went to wash my face to try and see if I could wake up more. The lights inside were off, but there was enough light coming through the window for me to wash my face. I tilted my face down to wash it, and as I lifted my face up to the mirror, I saw Mr. Smiles in the far corner of the bathroom near one of the urinals, wearing his coat and hat. "Hey, Nathan, I've been looking for you." I ran out of the bathroom as quickly as I could and shut the door behind me. I went off to my class, hoping that I wouldn't be followed. I tried to forget about seeing him earlier in the bathroom, but I couldn't get his voice out of my head all day. I was afraid to watch my parents leave to go on their 3-day vacation, but I didn't want to feel like I was getting in the way. My mom asked me if I would be okay on my own, and I told her that I would be fine. My father was less convinced, so he told me to leave the lights on. I should have listened to him. The one thing that Mr. Smiles never did was show up when the lights were on. So I went to sleep that night and tried to fall asleep, but as I soon fell into my dreams, I found myself back in that forest again. I immediately tried to find something familiar and to head to it instead of looking for Mr. Smiles. I found an old wood house and tried to run into it. I knocked on the door, hoping for it to open, but right as I knocked on the door a 3rd time, I began to hear knocking on my front door. I went to the side window to see who it was at the front door, and I saw it was my Aunt Stacy. She was trying to call me from outside the door. I saw the clock to see what time it was, because I thought it might be a trick. It was 9 p.m., and that really was my Aunt Stacy at my front door. "Nathan, it's me, your Aunt Stacy. Your mother called me and asked me to come by and check on you. She told me it was okay to stay the night with you. Are you okay with that?" I was about to tell her yes until I saw him again, Mr. Smiles. The only thing was, this time he looked terrifying. His hands were shaped like claws, and his coat was gone and revealed a long, jet black body with fur that covered him everywhere and hid him mostly behind a tree in my yard. His white eyes were huge, and his teeth looked like they were shaking as he stared at my Aunt Stacy. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to let Mr. Smiles in, but I didn't want Aunt Stacy to end up hurt. "Run, Aunt Stacy, it's not safe. Go to your car and get out of here, please. He's right behind you." Aunt Stacy was confused. "What are you talking about, Nathan?" But before I could tell her why, Mr. Smiles was right behind her. "Hello. My name is Mr. Smiles. Do you mind if I have a bite?" He opened his mouth big and swallowed Aunt Stacy, biting her at the waist, cutting her in half. I ran off to my room and locked myself inside. I turned on the lights and blocked out the windows. I should have let Aunt Stacy in. I should have done something other than scream and tell her to run. I keep hearing Mr. Smiles as I write this down. I tried calling my mom and dad. I tried calling the police. Nobody was answering. I don't know if this is a dream too, or if this is reality. If someone finds this, watch out for Mr. Smiles. Don't let Mr. Smiles catch you when he's hungry, or you might end up being his next meal. Well, what do you think about that? I guess you can never trust a man with extra teeth and dark fur. I would like to thank my dear friend Timothy Duran again for indulging me with his wonderful horror creations. And thank you for joining me, my Nyctophiliacs. I'll see you soon, and remember to embrace the darkness. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the notifications. And if you're feeling especially kind, share this video on social media. I would also like to thank my supporters who have helped me get to where I am today with my channel and my production abilities.